Craig, the Montreal Canadiens are coming off what has to be considered a successful season. Great run, surprise berth in the playoffs, and a ton of excitement about this year coming up. The one big question is, are the Habs more likely to rise or regress this season?
Last year at the outset of the season, the ownership, Jeff Molson, said, we hope to be in the mix. Well, they did better than that. They got into the playoffs. They were right there. Now we look at where they stand going into this season. Make a significant move in getting Noah Dobson. We know what Ivan Demidov has shown to the Montreal Canadiens fan, excitement that we haven't seen in a long time with a young player. So now we look at a team that made the playoffs, had a lot of success leading into the playoffs, and now the expectation isn't about being in the mix, it's about being in the playoff mix. I think it boils right down to one big thing, Mike, the second line. Are they going to be able to find a rhythm in there? They lost Kirby Dach last year to injury. Yes, Alex Newhook got in there. Line A ended up being more of a power play specialist. But can Demidov, a healthy Kirby Dach, get in there and help this team take some of the pressure off the top line? Because that top line was simply tremendous en route to the playoffs.
But I think for that very reason, they're way more likely to rise because they did what they did last year with an imperfect roster and guys not maybe playing all the way to their potential or coming off of injuries. There were some holes there. You mentioned the second line, which would be huge. It's a massive question mark, sure, what line A and Demidov and Dach could do together. But they made the playoffs with that line not existing last year. If your fourth line is Jake Evans and Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher, you're doing something pretty right. And the one area to me, more than the second line, Craig, that they need to shore up is 5-on-5 defense. I know at the start of the year, they were the worst team in the league defensively, and they got a little bit better, but they never got to a spot that we would consider to be proficient, let alone good. And they still made the playoffs. So I would expect Marty St. Louis, who at this point, any questions about him being a good coach have long since been answered. And with a more experienced roster, a better roster, more consistent goaltending, not just from Montembeault, but from Dobesh or Fowler. Either one is going to give them more than they got from the backup last year. I think all those things are far more likely to be better this year than worse. And if they get their team defense to, I'm looking for 20th, 18th, I'm not looking for top 5, like get in the middle third of the league, then they are in a good shape to be even better than they were last year.
And Marty St. Louis set that tone right from day one of the training camp. He said, we're not going to be playing fancy hockey. We need to dial in. He took responsibility for their poor start last year, and that was a defensive lapse that led to a real poor start. So Marty St. Louis knows what the problem is. I think Noah Dobson will help. Mike Matheson has shown that he can play in a lot of different spots in the lineup. Caden Gooley now, a healthy Caden Gooley can be an impactful Caden Gooley. And to your point, Mike, you know, if you want to rise up, you need players to take those steps forward. I think Caden Gooley is ready to take a real significant step forward, which I think will only help them become better defensively at 5-on-5.
And if Caden Gooley plays well, that would also help Lane Hutson perhaps a little bit. Not that he needs any help. He was beyond spectacular, record-setting in every sense of the word en route to the Rookie of the Year. Well-deserved. I mean, I don't know what the ceiling is for him, Craig. I don't know if he hit it last year, if he just plugs along at a 65, 70-point guy. Well, obviously, that's incredible. I don't know if he has more in him. Going on his history, which you know very well, there's always more. There's always more until he's the best of the best, because that's what he's always been at every level, including last year in many ways in the NHL. But if Gooley and Hutson can play in behind, I guess, Dobson and Matheson, that is an incredible option. And make no mistake, the power play, the first unit, will run through Lane Hutson again. As good as Noah Dobson was a couple years ago with the Islanders when he put up a bunch of points, Lane Hutson and the chemistry he has with that first unit will continue to shine and put up points that way. So I'll be watching him. Now, maybe statistically, he might take a fractional step back, Craig. I don't know. But I imagine his game as a whole, Lane Hutson that is, will continue to elevate to be one of the best players in the entire NHL.
And it'll help him to have a healthy Caden Gooley there and Noah Dobson. He didn't have that last year, obviously, with Gooley's injury and no Noah Dobson. So when you talk about ability to rise, I think the team can rise. And certainly Lane Hutson showed that he can be an elite defenseman.
They have a lot of building pieces. We talked about elite defensemen. We talked about the depth they have. And Nick Suzuki, no doubt, I don't want to hear any more about it, is an elite first-line center, top 15, top 10. He is right there. He drives that team. He drives that franchise. And he will drive the Montreal Canadiens to another season where they are more likely, I think, to rise than regress this year.